Daily Broadside, day 336. This morning while doing a crossword, I got to thinking about how many people I've flipped off in this world. And so I took some time and I added it up. I counted all the people in my lifetime, over 4 decades that I've flipped off. And I was surprised at the number I came up with, 78 people. That's an average of like a little over 7 months I go between flipping people off. And I would say that most of them were in traffic, just people driving with their head up their ass, just doing stupid stuff. But I thought that was pretty good. I mean, because you see that a lot these days. And you got to figure, like, I probably didn't flip anybody off for like at least the first 6 or 7 years of life, So you really take that back out and, it comes down to some odd minutia that you get down into the data, But I was pretty proud of that, I think that the traffic light situation in some towns is ridiculous. I was pulling out of a place yesterday, and I didn't count it, but I must have waited there for 4.5 minutes, and there was nothing coming the entire time. And there were 2 people on the other side of the intersection and like 2 or 3 behind me. And we're all like, we become a tribe at that point. And we're all like, the hell, city, why aren't y'all changing this? So here's what should happen, okay? If it's a primary road, then it should just be green 24/7. And then if anybody comes up to the secondary road, the lesser, the smaller of the 2 roads, it trips the light to then go, and say, hey, I need to pull out. And then it slows down the primary road to red. That's how all lights should be. There's no sense in a cycle existing. And it's weird because a lot of the dumb lights are like that after hours. You go out at 9 o'clock at night, they all trip, but during the day, they don't. And I understand that that's not going to fit for every situation because some intersections just need to cycle more because of heavy traffic hours and whatnot. But for the majority of roads, it could be like that. And I was in the middle of nowhere. There was no traffic to be had. And we're all just sitting there wasting gas and time. And it's just dumb. There's a $10,000 box that's attached to every intersection that has lights. Go over there and reprogram that sumbitch and let's get going. In the last month, I have been around people that have had a mookie, a puggle, and a pugaboo. I remembered that the puggle is a pug and a beagle. That's a dumb-looking animal. But, man, we've got to stop creating new breeds of dogs. These things are so hideous, and the names are even dumber. Everything's got a poo and a boo on the back of it, Dots and a poo and all. It's getting ridiculous. We're just trying to create new animals, and some of these variations are not very good. There are more or less like 4 clam chowders in existence, and the only one that is acceptable is the original Boston clam chowder. Manhattan puts a bunch of celery and crap and then tomatoes and tomato sauce in it. That's disgusting. I used to go to a seafood restaurant at the beach as a kid, and they were like, because back then you could kind of get it as like an appetizer as part of the meal. You want a cup or a bowl, and do you want New England or Manhattan? And you look at the waitress like, nobody's ordering Manhattan. That's just disgusting. Then Rhode Island, they take out the dairy and the tomato, and they got this clear stuff, and they're known for their clams, best I can tell, and they've got a horrible one. And then there's like a Long Island one that I think combines the dairy and the tomato. It's stupid, okay? It's potatoes, it's clam, it's dairy, it's got a little parsley or some crap on top of it if you want to, and salt and pepper, oyster crackers, done. It is odd that we have oyster crackers with clam, but we don't have clam crackers when we slugging down oysters. It's just kind of weird. And I heard a commercial, I've heard it several times in the last week on the radio, a commercial for IBS-C, okay? Irritable bowel syndrome with constipation. Now, I know next to nothing about this. My understanding is irritable bowel syndrome is kind of like, it takes an immediate effect in your life, and that's all that really matters at that time, at that juncture in the universe. It's kind of like, Stan, I went to the hockey game last night, and it just changes everything. That's my understanding of how that works. Now, I don't understand how you factor in constipation with that. Does that mean that you've got this overwhelming urge that cannot be fought, and yet nothing happens? Wouldn't that negate? I mean, it becomes like the immovable object and the irresistible force. Who wins? Obviously, the immovable object, the immovable object, in my opinion, wins, because the force is just going to go around it. Wouldn't it? I don't know. But nevertheless, what we've come up with here is IBSC is the same as the immovable object versus the irresistible force, which played in your bowels is not a good idea, I imagine. God, that's got to be miserable. A giddy day.